"Don't touch my table," my grandfather said. Then he shoved my daughter hard enough that her feet shot forward. Lily hit the hardwood. Her chin bounced. A thin line of blood appeared at her lip. She didn't scream. She just stared up at him, confused, like she'd dropped a glass and was waiting to be scolded. My grandfather looked down and said, "Flat. That is not my real grandchild." My mother didn't move. My father kept slicing turkey like the sound of the knife could erase what we all saw. My sister, Jenna, stared at her plate. No one reached for Lily. I picked her up. I felt her ribs shaking against my sweater. I set her on her feet, wiped her lip with my thumb, and placed a thick manila folder on the center of the table. Then I said 4 words. "You've been sued. Merry Christmas." If you've ever been told to endure because you're strong, hit like so this reaches the people who need to hear it, because that calm you see right now was the only thing keeping my kid standing. My grandfather's eyes locked on the folder. "Anna," he said, warning in 1 syllable. I slid the first page across to my father. Notice of lawsuit. His face didn't show surprise. It showed recognition. That was the first thing that felt off. A man who's innocent doesn't recognize legal paper that fast. My mother finally spoke. "You're ruining Christmas." "You pushed my child," I said. My grandfather shrugged. I corrected a situation. Lily pressed into my leg. Her fingers dug into my jeans. "She isn't blood," he said, like reading a receipt. "You know it. We've all been patient with you. End of value." My throat tightened, not because it was new, but because he said it like he'd been waiting for an audience. Jenna leaned toward me with that fake sister voice. "Anna, please, don't make this worse. Think about Lily." They always used Lily's name when they wanted me to shut up. I crouched in front of Lily. "Sweetheart, coat and shoes," I said. "We're leaving, but dinner." "We're leaving," I repeated. In the hallway, I noticed her boots had been shoved behind the coat rack, half hidden. My mother had moved them, like she expected we weren't allowed to leave. Second thing that felt off: people don't hide your shoes unless they think they own your exit. Lily sat on the bench, pulling on her boots with shaking hands. "Mom," she whispered, "did I do something bad?" "No," I said. "You did nothing." Her eyes filled. "Grandpa hates me." "I know," I said, and that was the first secret. I already knew it wasn't a one-time thing. I opened the front door. Cold air hit my face like a reset. My father appeared behind us, fast. He didn't ask if Lily was hurt. He reached for the folder. "Give me that," he hissed. "You've already been served," I said. "This is my copy." His jaw flexed. "You don't understand what you're doing." "I understand exactly," I said. He lowered his voice. "Your mother will be devastated. Your grandfather's health." "Don't," I cut in. "Don't use their bodies as shields." He swallowed. "We did what we had to do." There it was, the family slogan, the excuse for everything. We got to the porch. Lily's hand was cold in mine. My mother called out from the dining room, loud enough for Lily to hear. "Anna, at least tell us, is Lily even yours?" The question sliced clean. Lily's head snapped up. Her eyes searched my face like I might confirm the worst. I didn't look back. I just said, "Get in the car, baby." As I buckled her in, I caught one more detail that didn't belong. My father's face wasn't angry. It was relieved, like the blood accusation was a tool he'd been waiting to use. And in my family, tools were always justified the same way. For the family, I started the engine and drove away. Before I tell you what I did next, tell me in the comments if your own mother questioned your child's right to belong. Would you ever go back? At the first red light, Lily whispered, "Am I real?" I stared at the road so she wouldn't see my eyes burn. "You're real," I said. "You're mine. That's the only answer." But Grandpa says things to make people smaller, I said. "He doesn't get to define you." She nodded, but her shoulders stayed up by her ears. My phone buzzed. Jenna again. "Please don't do this." Grandpa's heart. "Mom is crying. You're hurting everyone." I didn't reply. I took a screenshot. That was something else Marcus had drilled into me. No arguing, no explaining, screenshots. Because when families like mine can't control you, they try to control the record. When we got home, I checked Lily's lip under the kitchen light. Swollen, tender. I wrapped a bag of frozen peas in a towel and handed it to her. She pressed it to her mouth and winced. Then she asked, "Are they going to take me away?" The question hit harder than the shove. "No," I said, immediate. "No one is taking you." But in my chest, something settled into place. They weren't trying to take Lily. They were trying to take what Lily represented my claim to anything they considered theirs. I sat at the table and opened my own copy of the folder. Not to read it again. To remind myself it existed. The complaint. The trust pages. The photo time-stamped on Jenna's computer screen. And the one sentence Marcus had written at the top of my notes, in plain black ink. "They will weaponize blood." I'd thought he meant Lily's dad. I didn't realize he meant me too. Because my mother's question wasn't just cruel. It was strategic. If they could convince even one person that I wasn't real, then they could make me disappear on paper. And if I disappeared, Lily's future disappeared right behind me. That was the moment I stopped thinking like a daughter. I started thinking like a witness. I didn't sleep that night. Lily finally drifted off on the couch with a blanket and the peas pressed to her mouth. I sat at the kitchen table with the folder open, listening to the refrigerator click like a metronome. At 2:13 a.m., my mother sent a text. "We can fix this if you stop embarrassing us. Think about Lily." I stared at that line for a long time. Think about Lily. They said it like it was a leash. At 6:40 a.m., I called Marcus. He's a local attorney. Not flashy. He talks in bullet points. I picked him because he doesn't get emotional when other people do. He answered with a rasp, like he'd been up too. "Anna," he said, "tell me what happened." I told him. The shove, the words, the silence, the "is Lily even yours?" question. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said, "Okay, 2 tracks now, money and safety." "Safety?" I repeated. "Yes," he said. "We document the injury. We document any bruising. We consider a protective order." My stomach tightened. "There are bruises," I admitted. Silence on the line. Then, "Where?" I walked to Lily, lifted her sleeve carefully, and saw it again in the morning light. Yellowing fingerprints on her upper arm. It hadn't come from my apartment. It hadn't come from school. It came from being held too hard in a place I called family. "Anna," Marcus said, voice firmer now. "I need a photo with a timestamp. And I need Lily seen by a doctor today." I did it. I took the photo. I grabbed my keys. I told my boss I had a family emergency. He didn't ask questions. At urgent care, the nurse asked Lily, "How did you get these bruises, sweetheart?" Lily's eyes flicked to me, then away. That tiny movement felt wrong. Kids who feel safe don't look for permission to tell the truth. "I don't know," Lily said. The nurse nodded like she'd heard that 1,000 times. "Okay," she said gently. "Do you ever feel scared at someone's house?" Lily hesitated. I kept my face neutral. I didn't rescue her. I didn't fill the silence. Because this wasn't about making her talk. It was about giving her space to be believed. Finally, Lily whispered, "Grandpa gets mad." The nurse's voice stayed calm. "What does he do when he gets mad?" Lily swallowed. "He squeezes. Like this." She wrapped her own hand around her arm and squeezed. My stomach dropped. There was the new secret for part 2. It wasn't only Christmas. It had been happening, and I had missed it. The nurse asked if Lily had fallen recently. Lily shook her head. Then the nurse looked at Lily's mouth. She asked Lily to smile. A small chip showed on one front tooth. The nurse's brow furrowed. "How long has that been there?" "I don't know," Lily said again. I wanted to scream. If your stomach just dropped, tap like or leave a quick comment, because this is the moment I realized family had been hurting my kid while I was being told to stay grateful. Because I brushed Lily's teeth every night when she was little. Now she did it herself, and I'd been proud of her independence. I'd missed the chip. Marcus was right. They weren't only stealing money. They were stealing my attention with guilt and obligation, so they could do whatever they wanted when I wasn't looking. Back home, while Lily watched cartoons like nothing was wrong, I sat at my laptop and opened the email thread where all this started. 6 weeks earlier, Jenna had asked me to dog sit. Her dog liked to sit under her desk in her home office. One afternoon, I went in to grab the leash and saw Jenna's laptop open. A document filled the screen. Grayson Family Trust Distribution. My grandfather's last name. My last name before divorce. I wasn't snooping. I was standing there with a leash in my hand and my heart in my throat. The document listed beneficiaries. Me and Jenna, 50% each. Then I saw the withdrawals. Transfers out of my half. Into my parents' accounts. Then into Jenna's. Not one big theft. A series of neat little family decisions. Tuition support. Home repairs. Medical. All for Jenna. And beside my name, in parentheses, beneficiary status under review, like I was a product with a defect. I took photos of every page. I emailed them to myself. Then I closed the laptop like I'd never seen it. That was the second secret for part 2. I didn't confront them because I knew what they'd do. They'd make me feel guilty. They'd tell me I was greedy. They'd cry about Grandpa's feelings. They'd say it was for Lily. So I did the only thing that worked on people like that. I stayed quiet, and I built a case. That afternoon, Marcus emailed me a draft motion for a temporary protective order. He also wrote, "Be prepared. They will try to discredit you, likely through paternity." My hands went cold when I read it, because my mother's question at the porch suddenly wasn't random. It was a setup. My family wasn't confused about Lily. They were rehearsing a narrative. Anna is unstable. Anna lies. Anna's child is questionable. So the money can stay in the family. Marcus called again. "We file the protective order tomorrow," he said. "And Anna, do you have your own birth documents?" "My birth certificate," I said, and my voice sounded distant to my own ears. "Find it," he said. "Now." I dug through the box my mother gave me years ago. "Your baby stuff," she'd called it, smiling too hard. The certificate was there, folded, yellowed, but in the corner, I saw a faint smudge, like something had been erased. A name? A date? I stared until my eyes ached, and the fear that crawled up my spine wasn't about money anymore. It was about identity. If you want to hear how this played out in court, subscribe, because the next thing my parents did was meant to erase me on paper, and I had to move faster than their lie. Marcus's office smelled like copier toner and stale coffee. Lily sat in a chair too big for her, swinging her legs and hugging her stuffed fox like it could bite anyone who came close. Marcus didn't do small talk. He spread my photos across his desk. Trust pages, transfer logs, Jenna's account numbers, the bruise photo, the urgent care note. He tapped the bruise picture once. "This," he said, "is not just a family fight. This is safety." He asked me to repeat, slowly, what Lily said at urgent care. "Grandpa gets mad," I told him. "He squeezes her." Marcus nodded. "Okay, we file the protective order. Today." "And the money?" I asked. He turned one page in the trust document and pointed at a line I'd skipped over when I first panicked. "Trustee," he said. I leaned in. The trustee wasn't my grandfather. It was my father. My stomach went hollow. "That can't be right," I said. "It is," Marcus said. "Your father has fiduciary control. He has obligations to both beneficiaries." I flashed back to Christmas night, my father recognizing the lawsuit notice. Not surprise. Recognition. Because he wasn't just aware. He was operating it. That was the new secret of part 3. The betrayal had a manager, and it was my dad. Marcus kept going, calm like a surgeon. "Your mother signed off on 2 large transfers," he added, "which means she can't claim ignorance." I stared at the paper until the words blurred. My mother had looked me dead in the face for years and told me I didn't have a share. She had watched me clip coupons and skip my own dentist appointments. She had watched Lily outgrow shoes, and she'd still told me to be grateful. For the family. Marcus slid a legal pad toward me. We serve them, he said. Then discovery. Their bank records. Their emails. Their texts. And if they try to claim I'm not his? I asked. Marcus didn't blink. Then we preempt it. We do a chain of custody paternity test. We don't let them control that narrative. My throat tightened. I hate that Lily has to be involved. She won't testify, he said. But your family already involved her. We're just protecting her. By noon, Marcus had filed. By 2 p.m., a process server had delivered the complaint. By 2:17 p.m., my phone started blowing up. My mother, please, think about Grandpa's health. My father, call me now. Jenna, stop. You're hurting Mom. Hurting Mom. That was the wrong detail. In their minds, the person bleeding wasn't the child with the bruises. It was the adult whose image was threatened. Marcus called at 3:05. Your father's attorney called, he said. They want to settle. My pulse kicked. Already? Yes, he said. 2 conditions. I braced myself. 1, Marcus said. You drop the trust claims. I let out a short laugh. Of course. 2, he said. You sign a statement acknowledging Lily is not related to your father's side by blood. My hands went numb. They wanted my money and my silence. But more than that, they wanted a document to brand my child. So even if I won cash later, Lily would still be not real on paper. They wanted to keep her a guest forever. I stared at Lily's drawing on my fridge at home, a stick figure house with 2 people holding hands. The word home written in shaky letters. I called Marcus back 5 minutes later. Tell them no, I said. Marcus's voice stayed even. Okay, he said. Then expect them to get ugly. If you've ever watched someone weaponize blood to control you, hit like, because what happened next was the moment I realized my sister wasn't just benefiting, she was participating. That evening, Jenna showed up at my apartment. No warning, no text. Just her on my porch in a red coat, eyes glossy like she'd practiced crying in the car. Can we talk? She asked. I didn't invite her in. Her gaze slid past me, searching for Lily. Where is she? Inside, I said. Safe. Jenna's mouth tightened. Anna, you're blowing this up. Grandpa didn't mean... He shoved her. I cut in. Jenna's face flickered. Then she reached for guilt like it was a tool she knew well. Mom can't breathe. Dad hasn't slept. Grandpa's blood pressure is through the roof. Bodies as shields again. We did what we had to do, she added, softer. What did you have to do? I asked. She swallowed. You don't understand the trust, she said. It's for the family. Dad makes decisions to keep things together. And my half? I asked. Jenna lifted her chin. You were unstable back then, she said. You were with that guy. You got pregnant. You could have ruined everything. So that was their story. Not Anna built a life. Anna almost embarrassed us. Jenna's voice sharpened. I needed help, she said. The house, the treatments. You needed my daughter's future, I said. Jenna flinched, then recovered fast. Too fast. That's not fair, she snapped. There it was. The switch. The mask slipping. Then she leaned closer and lowered her voice like she was offering mercy. Dad told me something, she said. He said you might not even be his. My stomach dropped, but I kept my face still. Jenna watched me, hungry for a reaction. He said Grandma had an affair, she continued. He said Grandpa always suspected. That's why Grandpa never liked you. She tilted her head. If you're not Dad's, you know what that means. No trust, no standing, no anything. She smiled, small. You can stop this. Just sign what they want. Keep it quiet. For Lily. For Lily. My sister used my child's name like a choke chain. I looked at Jenna and realized the worst part. They weren't scared of being wrong. They were excited to have a lie that worked. Get off my porch, I said. Her eyes widened. Anna, now. She stepped back, then spat. If you keep going, you'll lose everyone. I watched her walk away and felt something click into place. I didn't need everyone. I needed the truth. And I needed proof before they used their story to crush my kid. That night, I texted Marcus one line, "Schedule the test," because part 4 was going to be about blood, and I wasn't letting them write it for me. 2 days after Christmas, I took the paternity test, not the cute online kit with pastel fonts. The kind arranged through a lab where someone checks your ID twice, and the paperwork feels like you're applying to exist. Marcus met me there with a notary and a chain of custody form. "If they're going to lie," he said, "we make the truth bulletproof." Lily sat in the waiting room coloring, unaware that adults were trying to erase her family tree like it was a mistake on a form. The nurse swabbed my cheek, then Lily's. Lily made a face. "It tastes like pennies," she said. I smiled because she needed normal. Inside my stomach was a locked fist. On the way out, Marcus said, "Results in about a week." "A week," I repeated. A week was enough time for my parents to poison everyone I knew. A week was enough time to file more lies. That same afternoon, my father's attorney filed a formal response. Marcus forwarded it to me with one message. "Read page 3. Page 3 said my father denied paternity. In legal language so cold it felt like a freezer. He claimed I was not his biological child and therefore not a beneficiary. My hands went numb, not because I believed it, because he was willing to say it under oath. Marcus watched my face. "He can allege it," he said. "Now we counter." "What if it's true?" I asked, and my voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Marcus didn't sugarcoat. "Then we adjust. You still have claims for misuse. But yes, your identity becomes part of the case." That night, Lily crawled into my bed. She hadn't done that since she was little. She pressed her forehead to my shoulder and whispered, "Mom, are we in trouble?" "No," I said. "We're getting help." She was quiet for a long time, then said, "Grandma didn't stop him." Why didn't she stop him? Because stopping him would have cost her comfort. Because she'd rather sacrifice a child than disrupt the story. But I didn't say that. I said, "Sometimes adults do the wrong thing because they're scared." "Are you scared?" Lily asked. "Yes," I admitted. "Of what?" "Of you getting hurt again," I said. She nodded like she understood. Then she whispered, "I don't want to go back." "We won't," I said, and for the first time, I believed my own words. The next morning, Marcus filed for a temporary protective order specifically restricting my grandfather from contacting Lily or being near her. I expected a fight. Instead, the judge signed it within 24 hours. When Marcus called me with the news, my knees actually went weak. I had to sit on the kitchen floor with my back against the cabinets. An adult in power had finally looked at a child and said, "She matters." My mother didn't handle that well. She showed up at my office. I was answering phones at the front desk when I saw her through the glass doors, dressed like church, hair perfect, lipstick sharp. She walked in like she owned my life. "Anna," she said loudly, making my coworkers look up. "You need to stop this." I stood and led her outside before she could perform more. On the sidewalk, she grabbed my arm. "You're humiliating us," she hissed. "Your grandfather is sick. Your father can't sleep. Jenna is falling apart. Lily's bruised," I said. My mother's eyes flashed. "Don't be dramatic." That sentence felt like a slap. I pulled my arm free. "Don't touch me," I said. My mother's voice softened instantly, like flipping a switch. "Sweetie, please, we can heal. We can fix this. But you have to think about the family." "I am," I said. "Mine." Her face hardened. Then she leaned close and whispered, "You know you're not his, right? Your father has been kind to you even though you aren't his." My stomach dropped. Not because I believed her. Because she was willing to say it like it was mercy. That was the new secret of part 4. My mother wasn't just allowing the lie. She was feeding it. She reached into her purse and handed me an envelope. "A settlement," she said. "Take it. Keep your dignity. For Lily." I opened it. A check for $10,000. And a typed line demanding I sign the acknowledgement about Lily's blood. I looked at my mother. "That's what you think my child is worth?" I asked. It's not about worth, she snapped. It's about peace. It's about control, I said. I tore the check in half and handed it back. My mother's breath caught like I'd slapped her. Anna, if being difficult is what it takes to keep my kids safe, I said, then I'll be difficult forever. That night, my father texted, "You're dead to us." I screenshotted it and sent it to Marcus. Evidence again. In mid-January, we had our preliminary hearing. My family arrived together like a funeral procession. My father in a suit, my mother in pearls, Jenna with red eyes, and my grandfather in a wheelchair he didn't need, clutching his chest for effect. That was the detail that felt wrong. He walked fine at Christmas. Now he was fragile on command. Inside the courtroom, my father's attorney called me unstable, greedy, vindictive. He said the transfers were family support decisions. He said my father protected the family from my poor choices. Marcus stood, calm, and laid out the trust language. He laid out the transfers. He laid out the protective order. He asked the judge to freeze remaining trust assets and compel full accounting. The judge looked directly at my father. "Mr. Grayson," she said, "you are the trustee?" My father swallowed. "Yes." "And you transferred funds into your personal accounts without beneficiary consent?" she asked. His attorney started. "It was for the family." The judge held up a hand. "I asked him," she said. My father's mouth opened, then closed. The judge granted the freeze. She ordered discovery. She set trial. Outside, Jenna grabbed my sleeve and whispered, "If this goes to trial, Grandpa will die." I peeled her fingers off, one by one. "Then he should have kept his hands to himself," I said. "What do you think happened at trial? Did my family double down? Or did someone finally crack? Drop your prediction in the comments, because part 5 is where the truth landed and the price came due. The paternity results arrived 3 days before trial. Marcus called me into his office and set a sealed envelope on the table between us like it was evidence in a murder case. "Do you want to open it?" he asked. "Or do you want me to?" "I'll open it," I said. My fingers didn't shake. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. My father was my father. Relief hit first, then nausea, because my parents had denied me anyway. Not out of confusion, out of strategy. Marcus watched me read it twice. "This matters," he said. "It undercuts their narrative. It also proves they lied to my face," I said. "Yes," he said. My mother dabbed her eyes before anything began. Jenna stared straight ahead, jaw locked. My father looked tired, not sorry. Marcus started with the bank representative. The rep testified that the trust required equal distribution to me and Jenna. He testified that withdrawals were made without proper beneficiary notice. He testified that my father, as trustee, had duties he violated when he moved funds into personal accounts. Then Marcus introduced the ledger, page after page of transfers. Dates lining up with Jenna's milestones. A new roof, a new SUV, and a medical expense that matched a spa clinic invoice we subpoenaed. That was the new secret of Part 5. The medical money was cosmetic. They labeled vanity as necessity and called it family. Jenna's face went red when the invoice appeared. My mother's eyes darted. My father's hands shook. I took the stand next. I didn't cry. I described Christmas dinner in short sentences. The shove, the words, the silence, Lily's lip, Lily's bruises, my mother's question on the porch. The defense tried to make me sound petty. "Why didn't you handle this privately?" the attorney asked. "Because private is where they control the story," I said. He asked, "Isn't it possible you're exaggerating to get money?" I looked at him and said, "If money was all I wanted, I wouldn't be sitting here telling strangers how my family treats my child." Marcus entered the paternity results into evidence. The defense objected. The judge overruled. Marcus called my father. Under oath, Marcus asked, "Did you deny paternity in your legal response?" My father's throat moved. "Yes." "And are you Anna's biological father?" Marcus asked. My father stared at the table. "Yes." Marcus nodded. "So you lied to the court." The defense attorney stood, but the judge held up her hand again. "Answer," she said. My father's shoulders sagged. Yes, he whispered. No grand speech, no explanation. Just a man admitting he tried to erase his own child to keep money moving the way he liked. My mother took the stand and cried. She said she wanted peace. She said she wanted Jenna okay. She said I'd always been strong and could handle more. That compliment cage again, Marcus asked her. Did you tell Anna she had no share of the trust? My mother's lips trembled. Yes. Did you know the trust listed equal shares? He asked. Yes, she said again. Why did you lie? Marcus asked. My mother looked at me like I'd forced her hand. Because Jenna needed it, she said. And Anna had Lily. As if my child was currency. As if Lily's love was supposed to pay for their betrayal. Here's the moral question I need you to sit with for a second. If a family uses a child's existence as an excuse to steal from her future, is that still family, or is it just a group protecting itself? Tell me in the comments, because this is where people disagree the hardest. Jenna testified next, trying to sound innocent. I didn't understand the trust, she said. Dad handled it. Marcus held up the spa invoice. Is this medical? He asked. Jenna swallowed. It was. For my well-being. So you knew, Marcus said. Jenna's eyes filled. I needed it, she whispered. Marcus didn't raise his voice. And Lily didn't? He asked. Jenna didn't answer. My grandfather didn't testify. His doctor's note claimed stress could be fatal. His attorney called him an elderly man being attacked. But Marcus didn't need him on the stand. My grandfather's hand had already testified on Christmas. After closing arguments, the judge recessed for 2 hours. When we were called back in, the judge read her ruling. She found my father breached fiduciary duty. She found my parents, and Jenna participated in conversion of trust assets. She ordered restitution of my full share, plus interest. She added penalties and attorney's fees. She made it clear for the family wasn't a defense. My mother made a thin sound. Jenna covered her mouth. My father sat still, like he'd been hollowed out. They sold the family house to pay what the court ordered. My mother showed up at my door alone, eyes swollen. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? I asked. For choosing wrong, she said. For letting him do that to Lily. For lying. I watched her face and waited for the hook, the guilt, the bargain. It was still there, just exhausted. I can't forgive you, I said. She flinched. But I'm your mother. And I'm Lily's, I said. That's why I can't teach her that love means swallowing harm. I closed the door. I blocked the numbers. I didn't do it out of drama. I did it like you lock a door after a break-in. With the money, I fixed Lily's chipped tooth, opened a college account in her name, and moved us closer to her school. The first night in the new apartment, Lily asked, Is this ours? Yes, I said. All ours. She smiled, slow. Then she laughed, full, like her body finally believed it was safe. Over time, she stopped flinching. She stopped asking if she was real. One night, she said, casual, Mom, I don't feel like I'm in the way anymore. My throat tightened. You were never in the way, I said. She shrugged. I know, but I feel it now. That was the ending I wanted. Not revenge. Not a headline. Just my daughter getting her dignity back. Family isn't the place you prove your worth by staying quiet. Silence only matters if it leads to protection at the right time. And the night I put that folder on their table, I wasn't being dramatic. I was being a mother.